Imagine scrolling through your feed one quiet evening when you stumble upon a photo. Grainy, oceanic, strangely magnetic. It's not just another blurry underwater shot. No, this one has columns, structures, roads, symmetry, a city beneath the sea, and scrawled across the caption in bold, alarming text, "Breaking real image of Atlantis found." That's exactly what happened last week, when a single photo started spreading like wildfire across Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, and practically every online platform you can think of. Within hours, hashtags like Atlantis Discovered and Underwater City were trending worldwide. Influencers shared it with shocked expressions. Conspiracy channels uploaded hour-long videos decoding its hidden symbols. People everywhere were asking the same breathless question: is this it? Is this finally proof that Atlantis was real? The image itself is stunning. It appears to be an underwater shot taken with professional equipment. Clear blue water, rays of sunlight piercing from above, and in the center of it all, the ruins. A massive circular structure with outer walls, crumbled towers, and what looks like a straight pathway leading inward, toward a central ring. It's not just the clarity of the shot, it's the haunting symmetry of it that grabs you. It looks ancient, purposeful, like a city preserved in time. And that's why the internet went absolutely wild. Theories began pouring in. Some claimed it was taken by a deep-sea diver in the Mediterranean. Others said it was found off the coast of the Azores, one of the most commonly cited locations in Atlantis lore. A few YouTubers swore it matched Plato's original description of the fabled city almost perfectly. Concentric rings, canals, and a temple at its heart. Reddit threads exploded with amateur sleuths analyzing every pixel. On TikTok, a creator with 1.2 million followers said she felt chills and knew in her soul this was the real thing. Instagram was flooded with Atlantis-confirmed memes, while Facebook groups resurrected long-debated maps of lost civilizations. But perhaps the most interesting part of all? Nobody seemed to know where the photo came from. There was no watermark, no geolocation data, no official publication, just a single standalone image that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Like Atlantis itself, rising from the depths. As the image reached millions, the buzz wasn't just about the city. It was about hope. The hope that something ancient, something forgotten, could still be out there. That maybe, just maybe, history hadn't told us everything. But with all viral phenomena, there's always another side to the story. For every person claiming it was real, another questioned its legitimacy. And as the excitement grew, so did the scrutiny. Before we dive into what the experts say and what history tells us, let's pause for a second and think. Why did this photo resonate so deeply with people? Is it the mystery of Atlantis itself? The longing to find something bigger than ourselves? Or is it simply the magic of a well-timed illusion? In the age of AI-generated images, deepfakes, and digital manipulation, we must ask the hard questions. Is this photo real? Or is it another example of how easy it's become to trick the eye and the mind? So, we've seen the photo, we've felt the excitement, and if you're like most people, you're probably still staring at it with a mix of awe and suspicion. But now, it's time to look closer. Really close. Strip away the hype. Forget the captions. Let's treat this image like a crime scene. Because when it comes to discovering truth, evidence is everything. The first thing we need to analyze is the photo itself. Not what it shows, but how it shows it. Digital forensics experts always start by looking at the resolution. Why? Because resolution can tell you whether an image has been compressed, edited, or digitally enhanced. The viral photo of Atlantis was shared in 4K resolution, surprisingly crisp for an underwater shot. Some viewers even pointed out the almost cinematic lighting. That alone raised eyebrows. Natural underwater photography is often murky, especially in deep-sea conditions. But this photo, it's almost too perfect. The lighting beams down at just the right angle. The shadows fall exactly where they should. It's artistic. Next comes the metadata, the invisible data embedded within an image file that tells us where, when, and how it was taken. But here's where things get even stranger. The original file circulating online had its metadata completely wiped. Normally, a photo taken by a smartphone or a digital camera contains timestamps, GPS coordinates, the device used, even the software used to edit it. In this case, blank. Either the photo was scrubbed intentionally, or it was generated digitally from the start. Either way, this is a huge red flag. Then we move to the composition of the image. Multiple forensic artists noted that the structures in the photo appear too cleanly aligned. The circular formation in the middle of the shot is nearly geometrically perfect, something rarely found in natural underwater ruins. Real ancient cities underwater, like those found off the coast of Japan, Yonaguni, or India, Dwarka, are eroded, partially buried, or broken apart due to seismic activity and ocean currents. But this one? It looks like it was placed there yesterday. Next, we tried tracing the origin of the image. Where did it first appear? Some claim it popped up on a niche underwater exploration forum. Others say it was leaked from an anonymous Reddit account that disappeared within 24 hours. We dug deep. Web archives, image databases, even reverse image searches. The earliest confirmed appearance of the photo was on a Twitter account that has since been suspended. No bio, no history. Just 4 posts, all of them referencing ancient civilizations and oceanic myths. The account gained over 10,000 followers in 2 days and then vanished. Suspicious? Absolutely. And then there's the AI angle. When the photo was run through several AI detection tools, results were mixed. Some claimed it showed signs of artificial creation, pointing to anomalies in texture gradients and reflection inconsistencies. Others said it could easily pass as a real underwater shot. The inconsistency in these results makes it harder to pin down the truth, but it does raise an important question. Could the image have been generated by AI? The answer, quite honestly, is yes. Modern AI tools like Midjourney, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion can now produce hyper-realistic images that fool even professional photographers. These tools can simulate light, texture, depth, and water distortion to a frightening degree of realism. Some AI-generated artworks have even won photo competitions before being disqualified. So, could this be one of those cases? It's entirely possible, especially considering the lack of any verifiable metadata or photographer credit. The red flags. Let's list the top discrepancies that raise questions. No metadata. The photo lacks even basic data like date or GPS coordinates. Perfect composition. The city layout looks unnaturally symmetrical. Untraceable source. No official diver, researcher, or publication has claimed responsibility. Anonymity. The image came from a now-deleted account with no digital footprint. AI markers. Some visual signs hint at digital generation rather than natural photography. Of course, none of this proves the image is fake, but it does raise the bar for skepticism. In science and archaeology, the burden of proof is always on the claim, not the doubters. If someone wants to convince the world they've found Atlantis, they need more than a beautiful picture. They need data, coordinates, sonar scans, physical samples, a research team, a press conference, a peer-reviewed paper. None of that exists here. What we have is one image and a storm of speculation. But before we toss it aside, let's hear from the experts. Because sometimes, the trained eye can spot what the rest of us miss. You've seen the photo, you've heard the theories. Now it's time to step away from the viral chaos and enter the realm of expertise. Because when the world starts whispering, Atlantis has been found, the scientific community starts asking questions, hard ones. We reached out to a range of professionals in different fields: underwater archaeologists, marine geologists, digital forensics experts, and even AI ethicists. What we discovered? Fascinating insights and a mountain of caution. Let's start with Dr. Mariana El Sayed, a seasoned marine archaeologist who has spent 20 years diving through submerged ruins in the Mediterranean and Aegean seas. Her reaction when we showed her the photo? "It's beautiful," she said, "but it's not real." Why? According to Dr. El Sayed, real underwater archaeological sites show extensive signs of erosion, coral overgrowth, and marine sediment accumulation. Structures that have been underwater for thousands of years are usually warped, broken, buried, or barely visible. What this photo shows, she explains, is a perfectly symmetrical, nearly pristine structure that looks more like concept art than ancient ruin. Dr. El Sayed also points out the lighting and color tones. Natural light doesn't reach the ocean floor at those intensities, she says, unless it's taken in shallow waters, and even then, the clarity here is almost unnatural. She's not the only skeptic. Professor João Martins, who leads a seafloor mapping project near the Azores, reviewed the photo as well. His team specializes in sonar and underwater 3D imaging. His take? It doesn't align with any known geological formations in that region. And if it had, trust me, we'd be the first to know. But what if this wasn't an archaeological find at all? What if it's a digital creation? That's where forensic analyst Peter Green steps in. A former software engineer turned digital forensics investigator, Green spends his days analyzing deepfakes, doctored images, and AI-generated art. We asked him to run the viral photo through his suite of analysis tools. His findings? Anomalous pixel consistency. The texture of the stone in the image was too perfect, with no natural variation typically found in underwater ruins. Reflections, mismatch. The light bouncing off surfaces didn't follow natural underwater diffusion patterns. Absence of marine life. Not a single fish, coral bloom, or underwater plant was visible in the photo, extremely rare in any oceanic environment. According to Green, there's an 80% chance the image was created using generative AI tools. This looks like a mid-journey render, he said. I've seen similar underwater Atlantis prompts go viral before. This one's just more polished. Of course, skepticism isn't just confined to academics and analysts. Many rational-minded voices online have also voiced concerns. Online forums dedicated to ancient mysteries, usually a hotbed for Atlantis believers, began to split. Some held on to hope. Others began labeling the image as the most believable fake yet. One user posted, "This image doesn't confirm Atlantis. It confirms how badly we want Atlantis to be real." And yet, despite all this skepticism, the story isn't entirely closed. Dr. Kenji Ioto, a controversial but respected figure in alternative history circles, offers a more nuanced view. Even if the image is fake, he says, it reignites a critical conversation. The ocean is still 80% unexplored. We've mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have of Earth's own seafloor. So who's to say what's really out there? He's not alone. Some academics argue that regardless of this photo's validity, it reminds us that the mystery of Atlantis still holds cultural weight. Whether myth or memory, it keeps inviting us to question what we think we know. So, where does that leave us? We've heard the professionals dissect the image. We've listened to skeptics poke holes in the story. And we've seen how easily the human imagination, aided by technology, can create something that feels real. The experts might not agree on whether Atlantis ever existed, but they are united on this. This photo, it's probably not the real deal. Still, probably isn't a certainty. And with that doubt, however small, it's time we revisit the myth itself. Because long before AI, hashtags, or digital renders, there was a story passed down through the ages. A story of a city that vanished beneath the sea. The history and legend of Atlantis. Before there was a photo, before there was a hashtag, before the internet turned everything into a meme, there was a story. A story told over 2,300 years ago by one of the greatest philosophers who ever lived, Plato. The myth of Atlantis didn't begin in the depths of the ocean or buried beneath centuries of sand. It began in words, specifically in two of Plato's dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. In these philosophical texts, written around 360 BCE, Plato describes a powerful and advanced civilization that existed around 9,000 years before his own time. He wrote of a massive island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. A land rich in resources, technology, and military might. The Atlanteans, he said, were once noble and just, but grew greedy, prideful, and corrupt. Their moral decay angered the gods, and in a single cataclysmic day and night, Atlantis sank into the sea. Sounds dramatic? That's because it is. But here's the kicker. Plato never claimed he made the story up. In fact, he said he heard it from his ancestor Solon, who supposedly learned it from Egyptian priests during his travels. This chain of retelling is part of what has kept the myth alive for over 2 millennia. But was Plato telling a cautionary tale, or recounting a historical event passed down through generations? The myth evolves for centuries. Scholars dismissed Atlantis as a simple allegory, a symbolic tale about the dangers of power, greed, and the loss of virtue. But not everyone was so quick to file it under fiction. During the Renaissance, explorers and scholars began taking Plato's story more seriously. As European powers expanded their empires and discovered new lands, some wondered, could Atlantis have been a real civilization wiped out by a natural disaster? In the 19th and early 20th centuries, fascination with Atlantis exploded. Writers like Ignatius Donnelly popularized the idea that Atlantis was the cradle of all civilization, the motherland from which Egyptians, Mayans, and Greeks all descended. His 1882 book, Atlantis, The Antediluvian World, laid out a pseudo-scientific argument that tied together ancient myths, flood stories, and archaeological findings from around the world. People were hooked. Suddenly, Atlantis was no longer just a lost island. It was the key to understanding everything ancient and mysterious. Over the years, people have claimed Atlantis was located in the Mediterranean, near Crete, connected to the Minoan civilization and the Thera eruption; in the Atlantic Ocean, near the Azores, under the ice of Antarctica, beneath the Sahara Desert; and of course, at the bottom of the Caribbean Sea. With every new archaeological discovery, sunken cities, ancient artifacts, even underwater pyramids, the question keeps resurfacing. Could this be Atlantis? Most mainstream archaeologists and historians remain skeptical. There's simply no concrete evidence that such a civilization ever existed on the scale Plato described. No confirmed ruins, no inscriptions, no trace of a sudden world-changing submersion. More importantly, many experts believe Plato's story was inspired by real events, but heavily dramatized. One likely source is the eruption of the volcanic island Thera, now Santorini, around 1600 BCE. This cataclysmic event devastated the advanced Minoan civilization, which fits Plato's description of a flourishing society destroyed by natural disaster. The destruction left such a cultural scar that echoes of it could have lived on in oral traditions, eventually reaching Plato's ears. So maybe Atlantis isn't just a place. Maybe it's a memory, passed down, exaggerated, and romanticized over time. Why it still captivates us. Let's be honest. We want Atlantis to be real. Why? Because it taps into something deep within us. The idea that there's still mystery in the world, the hope that not everything has been discovered or explained, the thrill of lost knowledge, buried treasure, and forgotten wisdom. Atlantis is more than a myth. It's a mirror, reflecting our longing for wonder, our fear of downfall, and our dream that somewhere beneath the ocean's surface lies a truth that challenges everything we think we know. It's not just about underwater ruins. It's about possibility. And that's why every time a photo like this surfaces, real or fake, the world turns its head. Because Atlantis isn't just a legend from the past. It's a question we keep asking, again and again. What if it's real this time? We've journeyed from the depths of viral excitement to the heights of historical mystery. We've examined the pixels, questioned the source, listened to seasoned experts, and traced the legend back to ancient times. So now it's time to ask the big question. Is the photo real? And if it's not, why did we want it to be? Let's revisit what we know. The photo's metadata is missing, meaning we can't trace when or where it was taken. Digital forensics suggest high chances of AI generation based on texture anomalies, lighting inconsistencies, and the absence of marine life. No one has come forward to claim authorship or provide supporting evidence. Experts across multiple fields agree the image lacks the hallmarks of authentic underwater archaeological photography. The origin of the image remains unknown, likely posted by a now deleted account. From a scientific standpoint, The evidence leans heavily toward fabrication. But the story doesn't end there. Sometimes what we see online isn't just about whether it's true or false. It's about what it represents. This image, whether real, AI-generated, or cleverly edited, touched something primal in us. It reignited a centuries-old myth. It asked us to dream again. It reminded us that even in an age of information overload, mystery still has power. Atlantis is more than an ancient city. It's an idea. A symbol of humanity's quest to understand our origins, our purpose, and our destiny. And in a way, this photo, despite its likely inauthenticity, fulfilled that purpose. It started conversations. It challenged skepticism. It reminded us to look deeper. Because even if this image is fake, the questions it raises are very real. How much of our history do we actually know? How easily can technology manipulate our beliefs? And what else might be out there, beneath the surface of the ocean, or of our assumptions? Here's my take. Do I think this photo shows the real Atlantis? The evidence against it is too strong. The missing metadata, the suspicious perfection, the AI fingerprints, it all points to a well-made hoax or digital art piece designed to stir curiosity and viral engagement. But do I think Atlantis, or something like it, might have once existed? That's a different question entirely. Because history is not a complete book. It's a puzzle with thousands of missing pieces. And while this image may not be one of them, it reminds us to keep looking, to keep questioning, to keep exploring. And maybe one day, not through a viral post or a blurry photo, but through science, discovery, and courage, we might really find something. Maybe not Atlantis, but something just as wondrous. So now, we hand the question over to you. What do you think? Is the image real, or is it just a beautiful illusion? And more importantly, does it matter? Let us know in the comments. If this video sparked your imagination, share it. Start a conversation, and keep searching, not just for Atlantis, but for truth wherever it may lie. Because whether fact or fiction, some stories are too powerful to sink.